Are you over the age of 25 and you haven't graduated from high school? Are you over the age of 30 and you're having problems with basic reading and math calculations? And you need to return to school but you're afraid of the traditional classroom setting? Are you over the age of 50 and you're having problems finding a job because you don't know how to use a computer? Well, don't worry, CHEA Adult Skills Center is here for you. We work with adults aged 25 years of age and older in basic reading, math, GED prep, and computer training. So please give us a call today because CHEA is here to help you.
Thank you for joining me. Tonight in the studio we have Miss Tulani Persons. And Tulani is a life strategist who wrote the book, The Desires of Your Heart. She's going to talk tonight about this book, and our topic is You Were Wired Differently. So Tulani, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And this is a wonderful book.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tell us about your story, about you being a life strategist and how you got started.
Well, it's kind of lead into the truth of we are wired differently, but I did not know that I was created a certain way to function.
Okay.
In society. Mm-hmm. So for example, I had a career for 18 years, and towards the end of my career, I suffered major depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I worked for government for 18 years, but I get to the point where I'm afraid to leave my home. Mm-hmm. So after I went through different counseling sessions and built myself back to the normal life that I, had, I realized that I had a calling, and it was more to life than me just dreading every day going to my career. So for example, me commuting on 696, back and forth, I just had no thought, silent frustration and suffocating on the inside. Wow. And so when I entered into this reality that it had to be more to life, that's when I connected to my truth. Mm-hmm. And discovering that by human nature that we are wired differently, but it is our responsibility to discover that truth.
All right. You're a life strategist. Tell our audience exactly what is a life strategist.
A life strategist, number one, the meaning of life. One meaning for life is to unite the spirit, soul, and body. So the way we were created, we are a spirit. We have a soul, which is our mind, our will, and our emotions. And when we unite the spirit, soul, and body, that's what produces that life that we long for, that burning desire. So what I do is give strategies to connect the spirit and the soul to strengthen what's on the inside of us, which is our potential.
Okay, you wrote this wonderful book, Desires of the Heart.
Yes.
And the favorite chapter of mine is chapter 5.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not surprised.
I really loved it. When I ordered the book, mm-hmm. I handed it to my aunt. I believe telling you the story. I handed it to my aunt. She said, "What's this?" I said, "A friend of mine wrote this book." And so she opened the book, and she said, "Well, I want the book." I said, "Well, you can't have the book." I said, "It's my book, and I have to read the book." Mm-hmm. And so she goes through the book, and she sees my name in the book. And I said, "Oh, my God, what is in the book?" I want to tell you thank you.
You're welcome.
So much. That meant a lot to me because I had no clue that I was going to be mentioning. It's nothing bad. It's all good stuff. But I didn't know I was going to be mentioning this. But this really touched me and inspired me because you never know the words that you're saying to a person or the presence that you have in another person's life, what it has done for another person. And you just mentioning me in this book really touched my heart. And I want to tell you thank you so much for that.
Thank you. You're welcome. I just appreciate you, just the connection and helping me strengthen my potential. So
thank you. What is the law to human nature?
It's the way we naturally think, mm-hmm. how we think on a daily basis, how we feel, the emotions that we have, and how we act. So, for example, you get a invitation in the mail to attend your favorite person's birthday. Mm-hmm. So you naturally become excited about it. So that's one example of how our human nature, we're wired to just have a natural response about certain things.
Okay. Now, the name of our show is CHEA, Use of Knowledge is Power. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's that is because somewhere down the line we were always told that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, but the strength is the use of the knowledge. So a lot of people have knowledge and don't use it.
Right.
So to me, how is that power? So tell us, what is knowledge and what is the purpose of knowledge?
That's an interest. It really connects to our human nature because so for example, we have this burning desire on the inside of us, every person, to want to be more in life. So when we don't take action on that desire, what end up happening? We end up in the dread, disappointment, and just discouraged about our future. So when we get into that space, we don't have the knowledge to get out. So what knowledge does is the right use of knowledge, understanding what you need knowledge for to fight any type of thing that's keeping you from reaching your potential. So what knowledge does, it draw out the potential that's on the inside of you. I like to separate it because I say spiritual knowledge and general knowledge. But when we speak of general knowledge, it's strengthening your strengths and then strengthening your weaknesses and making that connection with the core and how you can apply whatever information you need on a daily basis in your life.
So what's the spiritual knowledge?
The spiritual knowledge is getting to the core of who you are and why you were created.
Okay.
I think it's very vital. I know for me, so I'm speaking of my truth, that I had to make a spiritual connection with myself to discover what was on the inside of me. So for example, I did not do well in high school with English. I sucked.
I sucked in school, period.
I didn't do well, but I had an awakening with God and he instructed me to write a book.
Okay.
So I thought that was 10 years down the road. I didn't make a connection with it because I immediately went to me not doing well in English. And so for me to make that spiritual connection with myself, I had to have the spiritual knowledge to draw that out and get an understanding of it.
Something in your book, you talk about truth and accepting your truth, but standing in your truth. Define truth according to how you're talking about it in the book.
The truth that I'm talking about is the way you were created. So for example, what if I went to the doctor and said, I want you to put my lung where my heart is and put my heart where my lung is. Okay. And I think I want my stomach on my shoulder.
Well, they're starting to do that nowadays.
But you can't function correctly because those are the vital organs that it was created a certain way.
Okay.
So when we talk about the truth of who you are, you have a talent, you have influence, and you were created to solve problems and to serve people. That's the truth. So when you don't take ownership of that, you deny that part of you and you submit to things that become barriers in your life.
Talents. If you go back into the Bible, there is always don't ever quote me. I won't quote things 100%, but I got an idea what I'm talking about. But has something to do about talents. And they were given so many talents, and the ones who didn't use their talents, it was taken away. Some hid their talents. What is a talent?
Your treasure.
And what is my treasure? Because some people would think a treasure is financial, it's money.
Because it is directly connected to you getting your money.
It sure is.
If you don't, yes. So it's the janitor, the person that cleans very well. Because if you can clean very well, you probably can come up with a solution that's not hazardous to our climate when we talk about different chemicals that we are exposed to now. So that's a natural talent. The hairstylist. I like to use the basic things because at times what you find people do is they lay that talent aside and pursue what they think the money maker is, but they're not happy. They agitated. They dread going to their job every day. So that natural talent that you were born with, when that person lay it aside, they're not valuing it.
So this is my take on what you're saying. All right. So we're born with certain gifts, which are called talents. And we're supposed to utilize these things on this planet or during the time that we're alive. And the talents, those are really our money makers. But some people don't see the value in their talents, and therefore they don't operate in their truth. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
When they don't see it, they deny the gift that was given to them. We were born with a gift. And that gift, it came from God. And when we don't use that or utilize it, it really is connected to our happiness.
Mm-hmm. And this is when we have a lot of people that go get a 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
and they're unhappy and they're
Mm-hmm.
depressed. And, you know, we have a lot of people now that committing a lot of crimes, serious crimes
Mm-hmm.
on their jobs
Mm-hmm.
because of something that happened or they've had some personal issues. But a lot of people are unhappy with their jobs.
Right.
Robert Kiyosaki talks about the educational system and how it just teaches us to get a job. And a lot of people are bored. The newer generation, probably our generation, the Generation X, we're not staying at an employer for 20, 30 years in order to retire.
Correct.
I do know that the millennials and Generation Z will have multiple jobs or careers during their lifetime. But what's important, how do you find out what your gift is?
It goes to the main thing, your identity. And you have to seek your identity. I saw a social media post earlier today, and a gentleman, he wrote, the new freedom is identity. Yeah. And so that identity is the basic things that we ignore. What makes you sing? Yeah. You know, who do you like to serve? Who are the people that you're connected to? What problem makes you cry? And those are the things that we, at times, I know for me, we take it for granted and ignore it and pursue something that is not connected to who we are. So it's really like doing instead of being.
Okay, explain being though.
Being is showing up every day within the truth of who you are, in the truth of knowing what your values are, in the truth of having the character, knowing the people that you are called to serve, knowing the problem that you are to solve, and just taking that space taking that area with a level of peace and understanding who you are and who you are to connect with.
Okay. Now, it is very important that you go out and you purchase this book, but I want to summarize your book. Because I work with individuals, if I was to sit and have this type of conversation with them, I know the first thing they're going to say is, how do I start? How do I start searching for my truth? How do I know what is my talent? Because I can just tell you how I was raised. There was no such thing as you get a career in a talent. If you did something to get, oh girl, you talented. That was it. You know, you might have been able to dance very well. I can't even remember what my talent was when I was a little girl, but I know what it has been since I progressed into womanhood. I've always been creative at things. So I did find out there wasn't a lot of support in those type of things as a child to feed those type of talents. So how does a person get started in finding who they are, their truth? How do they get started?
With an idea. It's that sounds very simple, but it is it's a law. Okay. Idea means to see, to discover, and to understand. So for example, me entering into this journey, it started with an idea, and it may seem of no value, or you did something like that, where I was led to start a mentoring group at a high school. But what I did was, when I got into that mentoring group and was coordinating the different events, I began to really expand in the understanding of human potential and behavior. Okay. So that was a natural talent for me to be able to identify how people are to connect with their truths. High school students went from anger to really engaging their schooling, less absences, getting a job, began getting along with others. And all we did was basically show them simple life principles on how to reach goals.
Is there a certain age you're supposed to be at in order to have these ideas? Because I'm thinking of if you are a mother of a small child. Okay, so you know this information now as an adult. So you have a small child, alrighty? How do you implement that idea, that mindset into a child that they will develop the behaviors that will allow them to be able to stand in their truth?
It really starts with paying attention to the simple things.
Awareness.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, giving an awareness of what do they like doing? What do they talk about? If they sing a lot, if they dance, start there. And if they're the type, I had my brother, he was constantly fixing electronics around the house. So if it's that natural thing, kind of lead them, feed that, because those leads clues. And the interesting thing about that is, you think of the big companies, we use Amazon, they're not afraid of the person that's already have an existing business. They're afraid of that child that's in the basement that's being creative and coming up with different.
That is true.
So it's really no rules to this.
Okay.
And that's the thing about this, is no rules. And so it's just getting in that space and just playing with, for lack of a better word, just playing with what it is that was interesting to the child, was interesting to the adult, and welcoming it, no matter how simple it is.
Now, I can relate a lot to what you're talking about, because sometimes people say you've been here before. Sometimes people say you're stranger, you're different. I would say for myself, I've always been aware of there was something different that I wanted to do and be. I never wanted to be part of the crowd. But when you identify that at a young age, you have a lot of people that kind of think that you're strange. So you get a lot of peer pressure. So if you're young and you identify that there's something different about you, how do you deal with, what are some strategies you can implement in order for you to handle the backlash you'll get from being different?
You have to get into personal growth.
Okay.
You have to, it's a required, growth comes with this. And you have to learn what your strengths are and separate it from the toxic environment, toxic people. And you have to get into that area of your life where you are focusing on your strengths than the weaknesses and other things around you. So it's very important for, when you talk about children and education and even young adults, to give attention to that and not compare.
Not to compare your children.
Don't compare, not to compare children against children, not to compare children compare themselves to their classmates. Young adults not comparing themselves to their peers. There is no comparison, but other than to just take ownership of what you enjoy.
Okay.
I used to like to wear, just simple as wear gym shoes, tennis shoes to school. And I like to wear sporting gear. I was kind of like tomboy, but I would deny myself because some of my peers didn't like it. And then when I denied myself that area of my life that I liked, I began to hide in other areas. So it's important to allow that creativity to come, no matter if it's in your dress or whatever you like to do, and to be comfortable and content with it.
Are you over the age of 25 and you haven't graduated from high school? Are you over the age of 30 and you're having problems with basic reading and math calculations, and you need to return to school but you're afraid of the traditional classroom setting? Are you over the age of 50 and you're having problems finding a job because you don't know how to use the computer? Well, don't worry, CHEA Adult Skills Center is here for you. We work with adults aged 25 years of age and older in basic reading, math, GED prep, and computer training. So please give us a call today, because CHEA is here to help you.
It was very interesting. A lot of my coworkers that were dealing with the same thing that I was dealing with
Was it the
direct.
depression?
Okay, it's a statistic that 70% of Americans do not enjoy their job. So they show up every day and they're just there. They're not adding any value or being an asset to the company. They're just there. So when you find people that way, one of the things that they hold on to is the fact that it is bringing in income, but they are denying themselves everything else about them. So several people, when they were reading the book, they immediately made the connection and recognized that they needed to make some changes in their lives. Okay. One was to get into the place of what they enjoy and recognize that they had this talent, but the biggest thing that they were doing was being afraid.
You made me think of what my question was just right there.
Okay.
When you say get into that place,
Mm-hmm.
is that form of meditation? How do you get into that place?
That requires spirituality.
Okay.
It does, because one is resting, and one spiritual law about resting is stop doing the things that's hurting you.
Okay.
And that's a challenge. So that comes through prayer and meditation. Mm-hmm. So for example, when I was dealing with the depression, there were certain things that was causing me to be depressed. But what I had to do was I had to be intentional, very intentional, to stop focusing in on what happened. It's almost like you have this bad breakup, mm-hmm. and you want to tell everyone about it. When you wake up in the morning, you listening to the songs and you just rehearsing what happened. You
story.
Get to work, you want to tell what happened, and he hasn't called. You just go on, and guess what? Life is going on. That person probably is going on, and you're just in this rhythm of rut in the hard place, and you're not going. But so that's an example of how you have to stop using your mind, focusing on the past, your regrets, what happened, and look at what could be. Mm-hmm. And that is a process. It takes time.
Okay. Something that I was taught through landmark education, mm-hmm. is that everyone should have a mission. Mm-hmm. And it's not a mission as to something that you should do, but it's a personal mission that you should have that speaks about you. Mm-hmm. And the mission that I developed is that I'm a woman of extraordinary gifts and talents that was given to her to help people overcome their adversity, see, I can't say it right, adversity to education and job training. So actually that's what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. So my talents I use allows me to be self-employed. It wasn't easy because most people think you should have a regular 9-to job. Mm-hmm. But most of the people who tell you should have a regular 9-to job are normally those who weren't happy themselves at their 9-to job, 9 to 5.
Right.
Isn't that funny? People who are unhappy are the ones who always want to give you advice in order for you to be unhappy too. So, a life mission. What is a life mission and why should we have one?
It's your calling, meaning that why did you come to this earth? Why are you here?
Most people don't understand that they were sent here for a reason, mm-hmm. and for a purpose.
Exactly.
And that purpose is that talent that was given to you in order to help mankind, mm-hmm. during the period that you've been placed on this planet. Mm-hmm.
It's to solve a problem. You are a solution to the world. Mm-hmm. And
Say that again.
You are,
because that is so important.
Yes, you are a solution to the world.
A solution to the world.
Yes, mm-hmm. yes. And so when you think of that mission, is what bothers you? What bothers you in education? What bothers you in politics?
Mm-hmm. I can answer those. Answer me a question.
Right. It's like what bothers you, mm-hmm. and if there's a problem you see, solve it and connect with the people. And that's huge. It's connected to your mission.
This is what people always say. Well, like somebody else is doing this. Somebody else is doing that. My thing is, don't worry about what somebody else is doing. Where you're creating the wheels. No, I perfect the wheel. The thing is that how you do it is totally different than how someone else do it. And how you do it may be beneficial to someone else.
This world is 7 billion people?
That's what they say. I don't know if they counted me, but that's what they say.
So that means that there's enough for everyone. I do this exercise in my workshop.
Okay.
because I want to break that stigma to let people understand that you can be, it was 2 engineers in the room, and I had them give the description. I had them pick 4 words that described them. Well, both of them picked that they were analytical, but the other 3 words did not, they had different descriptions for themselves. And I was showing them that you can be in the same room with the same talent, probably went to the same school, but the problem that you're called to solve and the people that you are connect to are totally different than the people that she is to connect to. And if you get that understanding, you will become very comfortable in understanding how important it is for you to take action on what you know you can do and the people that you are called to serve. And so that's what I do in the workshop. I break that barrier.
You are absolutely wonderful. Just from the time that you started this project to today, I see your growth. And I want to make sure that everyone who hear our voice get a copy of this book. This has been a tremendous asset in my life. I enjoy this book, and I'm sure you will too. Tulani, I want to tell you thank you so much for joining me. You have to come back. We have to finish this because I want to unpack some more of these chapters in this book. But until then, I have to say goodnight. Thank you for joining me tonight on CHEA Use of Knowledge is Power with my guest, Ms. Tulani Persons. Please get a copy of this book. It would change your life if you apply the information that's been put in this book. Again, thank you for joining me and have a great work week.
Are you over the age of 25 and you haven't graduated from high school? Are you over the age of 30 and you're having problems with basic reading and math calculations, and you need to return to school but you're afraid of the traditional classroom setting? Are you over the age of 50 and you're having problems finding a job because you don't know how to use a computer? Well, don't worry, CHEA Adult Skills Center is here for you. We work with adults aged 25 years of age and older in basic reading, math, GED prep, and computer training. So please give us a call today because CHEA is here to help you.